In late 1938, the Technische Amt, or Technical Department, of the Reich Aviation Ministry requested that the Augsburg Design Bureau of Messerschmitt draw up plans for a carrier-borne version of the Messerschmitt Bf-109E fighter. It was anticipated that this aircraft would serve aboard the aircraft carrier Graf Zeppelin, which at the time was under construction. The carrier-borne version of the Messerschmitt Bf-109E fighter would be designated the Bf-109T, the T designation standing for Träger, or carrier. Subsequently, Messerschmitt began design work on a carrier version of the Bf-109. In 1938, the Bf-109 airframe had been matched with the Daimler-Benz DB601 engine, giving rise to the Bf-109E, or EML as the type was known. For more information on this type, see my video A to Z Aircraft of the Second World War, E, which covers the Messerschmitt Bf-109E. The DB601 engine was more powerful than the Junkers Jumo engines, which had powered the preceding variants of the Bf-109 and had fuel injection allowing the engine to maintain power under -G, giving the Bf-109 pilots a tactical advantage in combat. In terms of armament, the EML remained much the same as the Bf-109D, being armed with two 0.31-inch or 7.92mm MG-17 machine guns in the wings and a further pair in the engine cowling on top of the engine. The Bf-109E1 was followed by the Bf-109E3, which differed primarily by having a pair of 20mm MG-FF cannon in the wings instead of the MG-17 machine guns. During the first half of 1939, Luftwaffe fighter units began to rapidly transition to the EML, which was put into production at Messerschmitt's Regensburg plant, and which were also produced by Erler, Wiesler and WNF, so that over 1,000 were on strength by the time that the war broke out in September 1939. Experience gained in the Battle for France and during the Battle of Britain during the summer of 1940 would lead to a number of improvements to the Bf-109E, namely in the form of improved armour protection and a new heavily framed canopy. The Bf-109E4, which began to appear in mid-1940, was armed with MG-FF-M cannon with an improved feed mechanism and retained the ability to mount a cannon in the engine block, which would fire through the spinner. While the Technische Amt requested that the Bf-109T be based on the Bf-109E, initial tests of carrier equipment were made on converted Bf-109B, Bf-109C and Bf-109E airframes. The equipment tested included a tailhook for arresting the aircraft upon landing, catapult fittings for launching the aircraft, folding wings, and an increased wingspan to 36.35 feet or 11.08 metres, revised flaps, and overwing spoilers. It may be noted that there exists some confusion so far as the Bf-109T is concerned. Some historians have made reference to the Bf-109T0. Historian Paul Eden has noted that a batch of 10 Bf-109T0s were built, and these were extensively tested in anticipation of the Bf-109T1 operational aircraft. William Green, by contrast, has stated that the Bf-109T0 never existed. Ultimately, following the equipment tests, the Bf-109T did not possess folding wings and possessed a wingspan of 36 feet. The 36-foot or 11-metre wingspan of the aircraft was such that it could be accommodated into the aircraft lifts of the Graf Zeppelin without issues. The wings could, however, be detached from the fuselage for transport purposes, as with every other variant of the Bf-109. Following flight tests of the modified Bf-109B, Bf-109C and Bf-109E aircraft, and in particular the catapult trials, the Reich Aviation Ministry decided to proceed with the production of 70 Bf-109T1 aircraft, which were to be produced by Wiesler in Kassel. 7 Bf-109T1s were completed before December 1940, whereupon the order was cancelled as work on Graf Zeppelin had ceased earlier in the year, and there existed little likelihood of her being completed and commissioned in the immediate future. The remaining 63 airframes were completed as Bf-109T2s. The T2 variant of the Bf-109 was, in essence, a T1 with the carrier equipment removed. With work on the Graf Zeppelin having ceased, the Bf-109T2s were delivered to JG-77 stationed in Trondheim in Norway in early 1941. The Bf-109T2 was found to be closely comparable to the Bf-109E4-N in terms of performance and the type, owing to its ability to take off and land in short distances, was well suited to operating from landing strips in Norway, which were short and subject to powerful crosswinds. On the 23rd of November 1941, the Oberkommando der Luftwaffe ordered JG-77 to withdraw their T-2s from service and to return them to Germany as interest in the completion of the Graf Zeppelin had been revived. 7 Bf-109 T-2s were subsequently rebuilt to T1 standard and were ready for carrier operations by the 19th of May 1942. By December 1942, 48 Bf-109 T-2s had been converted to the T1 standard. Of these, 46 were stationed in Pillai, East Prussia, where they were reserved for use aboard the Graf Zeppelin. In February 1943, the aircraft were deemed surplus to requirements and were returned to Luftwaffe service in April, where they were formed into Jagdstaffel Helgoland. Operating from Dune, in November 1943 the unit moved to Lister in southern Norway, where it was renamed to Staffel JG-11 on the 30th of November. The Bf-109T remained operational in Norway until the summer of 1944, after which the aircraft were returned to Germany and distributed among training units. Today, no examples of the Bf-109T exist. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more updates, like and share. You can also help to support the channel at Patreon. Details are in the description box below.